Come, let us explore the time-saving method of concise love, contemplation, and meditation. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. Good evening, my friends. Thank you for joining me. Do be so kind as to introduce yourself in the chat and tell me what you feel your greatest need or question is of the moment. As we gaze upon the text, it is obvious this is a Word document. However, its sibling is a PDF and available for download from the download page, whose link can be found, among many others, in the description area below the video. My PDFs tend to start off long and then just become longer and longer and longer. So navigating them can be a challenge. You'll want to do a couple things. Number one, download the Kindle app. It's free. Number two, import the PDF, and this is assuming you're using your smartphone, into the Kindle app. Number three, the Kindle app will give you a choice to convert the PDF into a Kindle doc or keep it as a PDF doc. Keep it as a PDF doc. Choose PDF. That is what it is formatted for. Otherwise, you'll lose the formatting and it becomes gibberish. The recommended reading in preparation for the fourth class is the Anapanasati Sutta, or I should say an adapted English translation of it, which, as you probably have guessed by now, is awaiting you on the website. It's awaiting you on the download page. So, all the texts on that page have been formatted to be read upon one's smartphone, held in the horizontal position. I have two types of students who show up to Livestream. One are the repeat students who've heard me teach this stuff ad nauseum, and the others are newbies. I try to teach in a way that benefits both. So I will use plenty of pop quizzes so as to not bore the returning students. And feel free to attempt to answer the pop quizzes in the chat area. If you're a new student, the pop quizzes aren't for you. And no one in their right mind would judge you or condemn you or ridicule you for not knowing everything about everything. This reads, Love and Letting Go, a very concise opening practice. In his commentary to Heart Treasure of the Enlightened Ones, the late tutor of the Dalai Lama, Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche, said that every practice must consist of three things: opening, loving intention, a middle meditation practice, and a closing, loving practice. That is what we're going to play with right now. Super concise, because we don't always have 60 or 40 or 20 or 10 or even 5 minutes to practice. This is much better than nothing. This is much better than a kick in the head. At the top of the screen, we read the word circumstances. So how's about a bit of the old explanation? If you are a returning student, here is your first pop quiz. Please enumerate the 4 bases of mindfulness. Now, for those of us who are not returning students, the Buddha was not always the Buddha, because Buddha is not a name as much as it is a nickname. It's a title. It means enlightened one. The Buddha was born Prince Siddhartha of the Shakya clan in northeast ancient India. He was raised in luxury and given every advantage. In his late 20s, early 30s, the legend tells us that he left the royal life to become a seeker of the spiritual path full time, to become a homeless monk. He took the name of his outside the family and called himself the monk Gautama. He promptly found not one but two teachers specializing in concentration. He worked diligently with them until they both felt he had mastered their path and become their peers. Gautama the monk thanked them for their kind words, but still felt dissatisfied with what their systems had to offer him. So he continued on his own in the forest for 5 years, sometimes meditating with 5 companions, sometimes meditating by himself, but pursuing austerities almost to the point of death. Then he had an epiphany that austerity was as impotent as debauchery, and he decided to seek out a middle way. And there's strong evidence to suggest that he began to consider concentration to be more ascetic than not, and that instead he devised a middle way form of mental culture, which we describe today as mindfulness meditation. Back then it was probably described as sati bhavana. Please forgive my pronunciation. I am not a good linguist. What's the difference then between concentration and mindfulness? Concentration is rigid. Mindfulness is flexible. Concentration is active. Mindfulness is passive. Concentration is analytical. Mindfulness is non-analytical. Concentration craves certitude. Mindfulness is comfortable in an absence of certitude. If this sounds a lot like yang and yin, or patriarchy and matriarchy, or fundamentalism and liberalism, then you get a gold star. So there was the Buddha in the forest, having abandoned the rigidity of concentration and practicing the ease and relaxation and vulnerability of mindfulness. All of a sudden, it was as if the metaphoric doors of his senses swung wide open upon their hinges, and he was inundated with sensory information, inundated with sensations and flavors and scents and sights and sounds, inundated with emotions and intentions and thoughts and memories and imaginings. And so to keep from keep from drowning in this sea of information, the Buddha devised, see, look at that. The Buddha devised a way of organizing experience into 4 categories. In the Sutra tradition, we describe those 4 categories as mind and feelings and, body and feelings and mind and phenomena. And in the Tantric perspective, we describe those exact same categories using different terms of circumstance and body and speech and mind. Potato, patata, a rose by any other name, you know the rest. So we are going to begin. So the Buddha applied these 4 bases of mindfulness to no less than 3 different categories of mental training. From the Anapanasati, which we'll explore tomorrow night, to the love, which will be, this is our 3rd night of exploring it, to the 8 worldly concerns, the root of all neurosis, which we will explore beginning on our 5th through 12th lessons, if I've got my math correct. Maybe not. Our 5th through 16th lessons. That makes more sense. Okay. Oh, math, don't fail me now. Okay, let's look at the left-hand side of the page. The phrase in-breath and the phrase out-breath, or what I like to call contemplative notation, which are very much like musical notation. In the center of the page, we have the actual script that we will be feeding our inner narrator, our inner monologue, words that we will feed to our inner mind the way a hungry vegan might drop pieces of fruit into a running blender in order to make a smoothie. When we notice our body breathing in, we could silently and mentally recite a profound boon. And when we notice our body breathing out, we could silently and mentally recite for each lot. Now notice, we're not forcing our body. We're not choosing when to breathe, or how deep to breathe, or how shallow to breathe, or how quick to breathe, or how slow to breathe. This is not the active path. This is the passive path. We're not concentrating upon our breath single-mindedly. Although that is a popular teaching, it is actually not what the Buddha taught. But we are aware, peripherally aware, when we breathe in and when we breathe out, and we coordinate certain silent and mental recitations with that breathing, as described in the Anapanasati Sutta, which I'm sure you'll read sometime in the next 23 hours. So when we say boon, what do we mean? Boon is a monosyllabic synonym for good fortune. And when we say lot, that's just a concise way of saying a lot in life, which is another way of saying circumstance. So what we could be saying is profoundly good fortune for each circumstance. However, in contemplative notation, we strive to use an economy of syllables, where less is usually more. On the bottom right-hand side of the screen, in smaller font, we see tabulatory notation, which helps us to not lose count. So we're going to play with this exercise for one set of 4 breaths. We're going to count the set on our left hand, and the repetitions or the breaths or the rounds on the right hand. Let us begin by touching the tip of our left thumb to our left little finger and slide that bad boy down to the lower set of creases. We will be counting upon the lower set of creases, and then the middle set of creases, and then the higher set of creases, and then the tip of the right little finger. We will be advancing the right thumb during each inhalation. I will probably be going faster than you because I'm breathing faster than you because I'm talking. That is neither good nor bad. It simply is. Our job is not to practice perfectly. Our job is to play with this, while cherishing the possibility that if all we do is play with these words silently and mentally in harmony with our breathing, twice a day, every day, for 7 consecutive days, some good could come from it. Let's begin right now. We are wishing that every circumstance endured by every living being upon this planet, whether they walk or crawl or swim or fly, is fortunate. Profound boon for each lot. If you performed last night's reading, then you are already aware of the 11 benefits of practicing loving kindness. Now, in a perfect world, we would need no reason to practice love, because as healthy mammals, born with midbrains, replete with anterior gyrates, and a constellation, a firmament of mirror neurons, we are wired for compassion and cooperation. However, we live in a society that rewards the cruelty and competition of our brainstem while punishing the compassion and cooperation of our midbrain. This insanity is not sustainable. And if humanity is to pull back from the precipice of either nuclear winter or climate change, we must, as individuals, train in the techniques of compassion and cooperation to strengthen those neural pathways, that we might become the people that our dogs already think we are. In the Buddha's first lesson, he taught the Four Noble Truths, that there is stress, and that stress is not random. There are causes, the things that cause stress and things that exacerbate stress. He also taught that there is a way to live free from the tyranny of stress, where things still might happen, but they don't quite get the best of us anymore. And then the fourth noble truth is that there is a series of causes that lead us to this liberation from the tyranny of stress. That set of causes is known as the Eightfold Path. And the second fold upon that path is right aspiration, or wishing love. What we are practicing right now, it's a fine, useful, and powerful tool. However, the third and the fourth and the fifth folds of the path are non-aspirational. They're behavioral. They're forms of loving behavior, loving communication, loving physical behavior, and loving vocational behavior. So 75% of the love training that the Buddha recommended was behavioral. Now, clearly, most of us are not fabulously wealthy. Most of us cannot house and clothe and feed and employ and educate all humans on the planet. But there are two simple things we can do to mitigate the suffering of not hundreds, but thousands of other living beings. Thousands of beings who have brain stems just like us, who want to live and not die just like us. Many of which have midbrains just like us, who want only to love and to be loved just like us. The first of those two things is we can choose to cease exploiting, no less murdering other living beings for the sake of their meat or eggs or milk or their talents or their assets. And the second thing we can do is to quit paying others to exploit and murder those living beings on our behalf. What I'm suggesting to you is that if we are serious about training in love, if we are serious about seeing the redemption of humanity from an unnecessary and ignoble fate, then it is profoundly beneficial for each of us to embrace a whole food vegan diet for the environment, for non-human animals, for human animals, and for our relatives, so they won't have to mourn our premature deaths. For prominent global health entities have determined that a properly planned whole food vegan diet is optimal for all stages of human development. If the thought of transitioning to a whole food vegan diet seems economically or medically or culinarily daunting, then I would recommend to you the YouTube channel Mike the Vegan, whose the link towards it can be found in the description area below the video, and it is a fabulous resource. Mike is smart, he's funny, and he's very helpful. Hey, let's continue with the meditation. Profound health for each form. Form is just a fancy word for body. Now, clearly it takes more than 5 minutes for me to explain the practice. That's the nature of explanation. However, once you've heard this explanation, you can practice it on your own in a ridiculously small number of minutes. Let us continue now, counting on our right middle finger. Profound peace for each feel. This here, when we say feel, that's just a cryptic way of referring to our experience of the interpersonal. In other words, instead of living in a state of high drama, may all our relationships, platonic and otherwise, be peaceful. Profound peace for each feel. And you're noticing, instead of saying people or beings, we're talking about circumstances and bodies and feelings and minds. Doing this is not a mere pseudo-spiritual affectation, but rather it helps us to overcome our tendency to grasp. Let us continue. Profound peace for each feel. Let us continue our opening love practice on our right index finger. Profound joy for each mind. If you see me twitch, please don't pay that no never mind. I have many disabilities, some of which induce movement disorders. I assure you that those disabilities I was born with, they did not come from meditation or from a vegan diet. Au contraire, both meditation and vegan diet have helped me cope with a veritable shit ton of health disorders. We've now completed our opening love practice. Now we're going to get to the delicious bit, the peanut butter and jelly between our two pieces of bread. That is going to be spontaneous awareness meditation, the essence of the Buddha's meditation method. It could be called Sati Pasadi, or Zen, or Chan, or Mahamudra, or Mahasandhi, or Ati Yoga, or Trekcho in Tibetan, Dzogchen. Regardless of what you call it, we are essentially watching the play of mind and then relaxing into its release. The method is remarkably simple. On the in-breath, we silently and mentally recite, notice this. And on the out-breath, we silently and mentally recite, relaxing. This is a pronoun deliciously vague in nature. It applies to whatever we experience in the moment, whether we are experiencing the present or the past or a possible future, whether we are experiencing something external or internal, real or imagined, pleasurable or painful, glorious or grotesque, whether we are experiencing sensation or flavor or scent or sight or sound, whether we are experiencing emotion or intention or thought or memory or imagination, whatever we are experiencing, it is simply this. Relaxing in harmony with our exhalation is crucial to our experience of letting go. But do not take my word for it. Put it to the test in the laboratory of your body and mind. That does not mean ask yourself whether it makes intellectual sense. That does not mean asking yourself whether it makes intuitive sense. It means let's play with this technique 5 minutes every morning and 5 minutes every evening for 7 consecutive days, and then notice our results. We're going to advance our left thumb upon our left little finger to the middle set of creases and begin counting again on our right hand, beginning on our right little finger. And of course, on the right hand of the page, we read that we're going to perform this for one set of 16 breaths. Notice this, relaxing. We continue upon the 3 sets of creases and tip of our right ring finger. We continue counting upon the 3 sets of creases and tip of our right middle finger. And we conclude by counting upon the 3 sets of creases and tip of our right index finger. Just as a peanut butter sandwich is comprised of bread and then spread and then bread, we're going to conclude with our second piece of bread, which is the love and letting go concise closing practice. And this reads love and letting go. It should that's a typo. It should say read love closing practice. Sorry about that, Chief. Again, let us advance the tip of our left thumb up our left little finger to its higher set of creases. Let us begin counting upon our right little finger. Profound boon for each lot. As we turn the page, let's count upon our right ring finger. Profound health for each form. Let us now count upon our right middle finger, profound peace for each feel. And let us conclude this evening by counting upon our right index finger. Profound joy for each mind. This concludes the guided meditation portion of tonight's live stream. Let us conclude by me taking a moment to insult everybody's intelligence by having me read to you. Let us discuss Kareza Tantra's romantic panacea. One cannot gaze at an image of Drolma Mormo Yabyum without noticing that she is sporting in tantric union. Just as the Baskin-Robbins franchise of ice cream parlors claims to offer 31 flavors, likewise, there are many varieties of sexual tantra. As with all things, there are also patriarchal as well as matriarchal takes on what the Buddhist tantrikas refer to as karma mudra in Sanskrit, or yabyum if you prefer Tibetan. In the book Cupid's Poisoned Arrow, the author, Marnia Robinson, does an outstanding job explaining the flavor of sexual tantra that could be described as matriarchal, or valley, or yin, or bonding, or oxytocin-oriented. She explained this through the lens of anthropology and genetics and neuroscience and trenchant pragmatism. Oh, how I wish that her text was required reading in every junior high school sexual education class. For the way we choose to make love or masturbate, and our choices in pornography and erotica and even fantasy have a profound effect upon each of our midbrain's dopamine pathways and oxytocin pathways and our mental health and our physical health and all our relationships, as well as our educational and vocational well-being. The endocrino, neurological and emotional and intellectual and romantic and social and educational and vocational and developmental healing made available by the subtle and often G-rated techniques of Kareza Tantra, or a virtual panacea. Purchase this book from Amazon.com tonight, either as a paperback or read it through the free Kindle app on the digital device of your choosing. Read it with your partner aloud before bed. Apply its teachings for no less than 28 consecutive days. And watch your life change. Full disclosure, neither the Buddha Joy Meditation School nor Meditate Like a Jedi make money from your purchase of Marnia Robinson's Cupid's Poisoned Arrow. My friends, when playing with these techniques, questions will arise. When they do, it is of the utmost importance that you share them with a fully qualified teacher. Reach out to me either over Instagram as a direct message, or YouTube as in a comment, or at the opening of the next live stream that you attend. That is one of the best ways to take advantage of working with a real life meditation teacher. Remember, my ability to help you is directly proportional to the specificity of the questions that you ask. If you have found value in these videos and live streams and podcasts and blog posts and class materials, numerous and free to download, then please consider supporting this channel by setting up a recurring contribution by using the link in the description area below this video. If you cannot afford to do that at this time, then please support this channel for free by clicking the subscribe button, by clicking the bell-shaped notification button so you never miss out on any of my uploads, by clicking the thumbs up like button, and by typing in a short but poignant comment. These things really help with the algorithm. I shall conclude this live stream by dispelling the myth of the greedy monk. For in the Tibetan tradition, neither monks, nor yogis, nor even lamas are supported by monasteries. Au contraire, they must pay for room and board and supplies. And to do so, they seek patronage from family and friends and students and strangers. Those who are unable to do so wander homeless. My friends, I thank you for your time and your kind attention. Until next we speak, may you and yours be happy and healthy. Now mask up, social distance, and wash your damn hands.